We have more breaking news out of Baltimore here as the Orioles acquire Zach Eflin for 3 players from the Orioles. Those 3 players are Jackson Baumeister, Matthew Etzel, and Mac Horwath. This one kind of stings on me a little bit. I was very, very high on Matthew Etzel. I thought he was going to be a big leaguer for the Orioles. He was pushing a lot of guys out of his way. I look for him to have an outstanding career in Tampa, almost like a Kevin Kiermaier type player. And Baumeister has good stuff. I feel like this trade swings towards the Rays. I know I'm probably one of the only people saying that, but knowing the talent that we gave up, even though they weren't ranked very high, those are guys that Tampa Bay is going to turn into some powerhouses. When you shift the focus over to Eflin, he is getting hit very hard this year. I think this might have been a slight bit of desperation from Mike Elias. I don't feel like Zach Eflin helped this team any more than what we currently had. I'm not sure if this move helps the Orioles as much as some people think. Eflin in his career has been fairly good. This year, not so much. This year, he's getting hit around a ton. Some good teams are hitting him around constantly. He's lost some velocity. He's lost, location. Last year he was throwing his curveball and the hitters were hitting 185 against it. This year they're hitting 295. So last year he had an outs above average with a 12 on that curveball. And this year it's only a -3. So some pitches that he's had have just been demolished. Last year hitters were hitting 102 on his fastball, but this year they're hitting 240. Change up again. Last year, 192. This year, 263. So when you look across the board, his pitches are getting hit a lot harder this year than they were last year. But some of the little positives about Eflin. Eflin has a 238 average this season against lefties, which is going to play good in Camden Yards, right? We got a pretty short porch here in right field. But he's got a 279 average against righties. Now, Camden Yards will also fix that a little bit because of, obviously, we know the left field wall. So look for that number to come down a little bit, at least while at home. But on the year right now, Eflin has a 4.09 ERA, 84 strikeouts in 110 innings, and only 13 walks. So he's not walking a ton of guys, which is really solid. But the things that scare me, runners in scoring position. Eflin has a 13 ERA this year with only 13 strikeouts. 13 ERA would be second worst among our starting staff right now. So when you kind of really start to dive into Eflin a little bit, I get a little worried about him. His last 9 starts, he's got a 4.06 ERA with 6 home runs given up. Against current AL playoff teams this year, right now, as of this date, Eflin has a 4.8 ERA against them, while serving up a 252 average. There's a lot to like about Eflin, but when you really look around the numbers, since 2020, Eflin's fastball velocity is down 3.8 miles an hour. His off-speed velocity is also down over 3 miles an hour. He does hold runners very well. People don't steal on him very often, which is good considering the running issues that we have this year. But Eflin's going to give you a better outing probably than Cole Irvin and Povich right now and stuff. Eflin he's serviceable. If this is the only starting pitcher they make, I'm not happy about it, especially for the haul that they gave up. Baumeister has incredible stuff. He was going to fly through the system. Like I said, Etzel is going to be another Kiermaier type player. He's just a ton of speed. He's a base hit machine. Plays very good defense. To me, I feel like the Orioles might have been desperate and overpaid. I'll say it a couple times. They might have been desperate and overpaid. Because I understand the market is very thin. I give this trade a C. A C because of what we had to give up and for the minimal production that we're gaining for one more year of control. Now, we're looking at a guy whose velocity has dropped every single year since 2020. So now we got to pay another guy $18 million next year for velocity to drop potentially even more. I'm probably in the minority here, Birdland. I'm not a huge fan of this trade. I'm just not. Hopefully I'm dead wrong. Hopefully coming here, kind of helps him get back to what he did prior. Right now, looking at things, I don't like it. So hopefully y'all can just come back and just drill me in the comments when he shoves it up everybody's butt. I would absolutely love to hear it. But again, I'm going to give this trade a C. Hopefully it pans out in the better half on our favor and not what we just had to give up to get this guy. I'll catch you guys later.